All right, let's dive into a really fascinating mystery from the world of science. We're going to be talking about carbon. Now, you know carbon. It's literally the basis for all life as we know it, but it's also hiding this incredible paradox, this sort of secret identity that lets it build completely different worlds from the exact same atomic bricks.
And this is really the heart of it all. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. How can one single element, pure carbon, give us a diamond, something that can cut through pretty much anything, and at the same time give us the graphite in a pencil, which is so soft it's designed to just rub right off onto a piece of paper? It feels like it shouldn't be possible, right? Well, the answer is one of the coolest and most fundamental ideas in all of material science.
And when you lay it all out, the differences are just wild. You've got diamond on one side, the absolute champion of hardness, but it won't conduct electricity at all. And on the other side, graphite, ridiculously soft, and it's actually a pretty good electrical conductor. But look at the bottom line. They are both 100% pure carbon. So what on earth is going on here?
Okay, to crack this puzzle, we've got to zoom way in. We're talking down to the atomic level. Because the secret isn't what the atoms are, it's how they're all connected. It's all about how they hold hands with each other. This is where the magic really happens.
And this brings us to the key word for today, allotropy. This is it. This is the scientific principle that solves our carbon paradox. Allotropy just means that an element can show up in different structural forms, which in turn gives them totally different properties. Diamond and graphite, they're just the two most famous members of carbon's family of allotropes.
So let's look at diamond first. The magic number here is 4. Every single carbon atom is locked into a super strong bond with 4 of its neighbors. This creates this perfect repeating 3D structure that you can kind of picture as an atomic jungle gym. It's incredibly rigid, there are no weak points. And because every single electron is trapped in one of these bonds, there's nothing free to move around and carry electricity. That structure is exactly why diamond is the hardest thing we know and also a fantastic insulator.
Now let's switch over to graphite. Here the magic number is 3. Each carbon atom only bonds to 3 others. This creates these really strong, flat sheets that look like a honeycomb. But, and this is the whole secret, the bonds between those sheets are super weak. So you have these stacks of layers, kind of like a deck of cards, that can just slide right past each other. That's what makes it so soft. And remember that 4th electron that isn't busy in a bond? Well, it's free to just roam around between the layers, and that's exactly why graphite can conduct electricity.
And believe me, carbon's bag of tricks doesn't stop there. It gets even weirder and cooler. Scientists have found other incredible allotropes. You've got fullerenes, which we call buckyballs. They're these amazing little spheres of carbon atoms that look just like a soccer ball. And if you take one of those graphite sheets and roll it up into a tiny tube, you get a carbon nanotube or bucky tube, a material that's insanely strong and has all sorts of new electronic properties. It's all the same element, just arranged differently.
So up to this point, we've seen how perfect, repeating, orderly patterns create these amazing materials. But what happens when that order completely breaks down? You know, to really get why structure is so important, it's super helpful to look at its complete opposite. And that brings us to the very curious case of glass. Which leads us to another key idea, an amorphous solid. See, unlike a crystal with its perfect repeating pattern, an amorphous solid is basically a jumble. The atoms might be connected to their immediate neighbors in a sensible way, but there's no long-range blueprint. The best way to think about it is the difference between a perfectly stocked brick wall and just a random pile of bricks. Glass, and even things like soot, are amorphous.
And this shows that idea perfectly. This is basically the recipe for everyday glass. It's mostly silica with some other stuff mixed in. When you melt all this together and then cool it down really fast, the atoms just don't have time to line up into a nice, neat crystal. They get frozen in place, all jumbled up in that amorphous state, which is exactly what gives glass its unique properties, like being transparent.
Okay, so we've figured out that how atoms are arranged is, well, everything. But it turns out there's a pattern even to the patterns. Nature is incredibly efficient. Even though there are countless different materials out there, almost every single crystalline solid, the ones with that perfect order, is built from just 7 fundamental blueprints. Just 7 basic crystal systems.
Think of these as the official Lego bricks of the material world. You've got the perfectly symmetrical cubic system, which you find in metals like gold and iron. Then you've got simple variations on that, like tetragonal, which is just a stretched out cube, or orthorhombic, which is like a rectangular box. Every single crystal you've ever seen is built by repeating one of these fundamental shapes over and over. So why do we even care about these basic blueprints? Well, because once we understand the rules of the game, we can start combining them in new ways. We can start building entirely new materials with properties we've only dreamed of. This is where we go from basic science to technology that literally changes the world.
So take a look at perovskites. This structure is basically a clever tweak on that simple cubic system we just saw. By carefully choosing which atoms to plug into the different spots in the structure, scientists can fine-tune its properties. And that is at the absolute heart of breakthroughs in things like next-generation solar cells, making them way more efficient.
Or here's another one, called spinels. Now this one's a little more complex, but the core idea is the same. It's all about how different atoms fit perfectly into the little gaps and holes within the main crystal structure. It's this precise, elegant arrangement that gives these materials their unique abilities, making them essential for things like high-tech ceramics and the electronics that power our lives.
So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. It all comes back to the same fundamental rules. The final structure of any material, whether it's plain old table salt or an advanced computer chip, boils down to just three things. What are the atoms, how big are they, and how are they holding hands? That's the master key to everything.
Which leaves us with one last, really exciting thought. We started this whole journey with a simple paradox about carbon, but we ended up uncovering the universal blueprints that build our entire world. And as our ability to understand and actually manipulate these atomic structures gets better and better, we're literally learning to write the instruction manual for brand new materials. So the question is, what comes next? What new worlds will we build now that we can finally read the blueprint?